my new good friend, Joy Ngoma.
Thank you, Titana, for the lovely introduction, and good morning to everyone. This conference is very special to me, and especially this year as I get to share it with my Nobel family. I am happy to be here again, and thank you so much to President Salome Zurabashvili and her team for providing this space for all of us to discuss how we can make a difference in the world. And not only for girls and women, but make it a better world for all. As women, when we do these kinds of events, there's strength in numbers. And when we get into a room like this, we multiply. So thank you so much to our distinguished guests, excellencies, and panelists for being here today. Now, I would like you to help me to welcome our two Nobel Peace Laureates to the stage. Please welcome Ms. Udad Buchanan and Dr. Ruth Mitchell. The laureates will be sharing their experiences and stories with us on how women drive change in our society. The terrific Ms. Udad Buchanan, founder of the Tunisian National Dialogue Contact, was awarded 2015 Nobel Peace Prize for its decisive contribution to the building of a pluralistic democracy in Tunisia in the wake of the Jasmine Revolution in 2011. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
The wonderful Dr. Ruth Mitchell, fellowship-trained neurosurgeon, awarded the Nobel Peace Prize for the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons, also called ICAN, for its work to draw attention to the catastrophic humanitarian consequences of any use of nuclear weapons, for its groundbreaking efforts to achieve treaty-based prohibition of such a weapon. Please welcome. I would also like to highlight that between the two of them, there's a total of 27 individual organizations which have been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. So hopefully we'll get a Nobel Peace Prize from Georgia soon. The first panel are opening, featuring distinguished leaders from the Council of Europe and European Parliament, discuss the role of women leaders in the process of the development of new security architecture. What we are going to be discussing to follow that conversation is how women drive change in these spaces. So, Ms. Udad, I would like for you to introduce yourself and also talk about your work with the Tunisian National Quartet, and also share with us how you started, and then also what inspired you to commence this line of work.
Thank you so much, Joy. If I may, thank you so much, Madame la Présidente, for this invitation. I'm so honored to be here. This is my first visit in Georgia. I love to come back to Georgia and to discover better Georgia. I'm Udad Buchanan. I'm from Tunisia. It's a small country north of Africa. I'm a businesswoman, and I'm working with my family. We have a holding, family holding. I grew up in the family where my father was my teacher. He was my mentor, and he always pushed me to be on the front line, to be courageous, to accept to do something different, and also to trust on myself, on my capacities. So in 2011, this Arab Spring Revolution, I was elected the first female in the Arab world as the president of Tunisian Confederation of Business. It was for me a big challenge to be in such position, and I was elected by men. I was the only woman in the board, and they elected me as their president. So for me, it was a big challenge, how I can manage this, how I can be a leader, how I can be among different, people, and how I can deal with this. It was for me really a very big challenge. I accepted this challenge because I believe that we have the same capacities, we have the same mentality, and we are able to do the same things than men. So in 2013, we had terrible attacks in Tunisia, terrorist attacks in Tunisia, and two political assassinations in Tunisia took place in 2013. And two left-wing leaders were assassinated. It was for us a kind of a shock, a disaster in Tunisia. It's a kind of collapse in Tunisia because we were not, used with this kind of, attacks. After this, we got some other terrorist attacks on soldiers. It was really a big issue in Tunisia, and we were afraid that we were going to lose this kind of, let's say, this Jasmine revolution in the air, and we are going to join the other failed revolutions in the area. So we joined our hands to be together, 4 people from 4 civil organizations, the business community, the union, the bar association, and the human rights leagues, and together as 4 leaders, we said we had to do something. We have to save this new democracy. We have to listen to the Tunisian citizens and to do something for them. For us, the only way was the dialogue, was the mediation and the conciliation, and we invited political leaders to meet together, to sit around a table, and to discuss together about what we have to do, what we can do to Tunisia. So at this moment we set up a roadmap because people, they asked the authorities to leave at this moment, and we had a long sit-in in front of the Tunisian parliament, and it was, just done by Tunisian without any, political background. So we set up this roadmap, and in this roadmap we put 6 points, and we tried how to convince these political leaders to sit together, to discuss together, and at least to sign this roadmap. And our role was, to mediate, to listen, to discuss, to lead this dialogue, and also to really to respect each point of this roadmap. In this roadmap, we asked that Tunisians, they asked, that the government has to resign, for the parliament to continue, to finish the new constitution, to nominate an independent prime minister, and to fix the date of parliamentary and presidential elections in 2014. That's what we did. It took 6 months. It was really a big challenge for me because I was also the only woman in the room, and I asked to have more women with me from the political side, and I think it was really very tough, way how we can listen, how we can discuss, how we can accept different how we can accept different, things, how we can accept others, different ideas, and even if we are not, agree with them, but we need to listen. And this is what I learned: how to listen, how to learn, how to discuss, and how also to change our mind if we are wrong. And I think it was this challenge. I got also along this long period, difficult threats because people they try let's say, try to push me away and to leave this discussion, but I insisted and I said it's that what I'm doing is for my country. I have to succeed this challenge.
Thank you for sharing your journey with us. Now, Dr. Ruth, I'm going to open the panel for you, and can you please tell us more about your work with ICANN, and also share your story, how you started on this journey?
Thank you so much, Joy. I'm beyond honored to be here, and I thank you, Madam President, for hosting us, and it is really a delight to be here in Georgia with all of you impressive individuals, and I think that together we can do a great deal more than any one of us alone. I'm really pleased to be able to tell you a bit about the backstory of what became the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons. I grew up in Peru, in the mountains, and I knew by the age of 6 that I wanted to be a doctor. And by the age of 11 or 12, I understood that I was a feminist and that I wanted to change the world. And then I had to endure the teenage years that we all survived somehow. And I'm proud to report that I somehow managed to retain those twin desires through that season. And when I started medical school, I found myself a bit at odds with some of my classmates because everyone seemed to want to be notorious and wealthy. But this idea that we could become doctors so we could have an increased platform for advocacy, so that we could look at population-based health initiatives, didn't seem to be the cultural norm. And then I found my people. I found the Medical Association for the Prevention of War, which is the Australian affiliate of the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, IPPNW. And long before I got involved, IPPNW won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1985 for their important role in dialogue between Gorbachev and Reagan at the height of the Cold War. And so we have a history that I found myself stepping into of medical peace work, where the idea of dialogue was central. And so as a medical student, I realized, you know, there's a lot going on in the world and a lot of conversations about nuclear disarmament, but there isn't a lot of action. And there were disparate groups all over the world working on these issues, but perhaps what was missing was a central, unified force on these issues. And so I was very privileged to be part of the initial birthing of what is now the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons. And this arose out of frustration. And I want people to know that, because if there's something that's driving you mad about the way the world is, I want you to think about harnessing that to build something new, to give birth to something novel. Because that's what we did. We came around and said, what is the point of looking after all these sick people, learning how to heal people, how to prevent sudden death from any number of horrible diseases, when we're all going to suffer a sudden nuclear death if we don't take action on this front? So frustrated by the way the Non-Proliferation Treaty wasn't doing its job, frustrated by empty promises from people in power, we came together and we said, what can we do together that we can't do by ourselves? And so I'll never forget being in the room when we picked the name for the campaign, and we thought we needed something that sounded positive. So ICANN really invited us into that. It steps each person into that journey of possibility. And so over the next 10 years after our launch in 2007, we worked towards finding a way to create a new norm, to stigmatize nuclear weapons, and to change the debate at the international level. And so while everyone celebrates the fact that together we got the Nobel Peace Prize in 2017, and believe me, I wasn't grumpy about it, it was fantastic, the real prize is the treaty that we got through the United Nations on the 7th of July, 2017. And that's the Treaty for the Prohibition of Nuclear Weapons, because up till that point, nuclear weapons had not been illegal. And so going back to the roots of this work for me, which is medical peace work, we understand that a human security framework, a feminist security framework, which puts people first, the well-being of human beings and the well-being of our planet at the center of our policy discussions, leads to healthy public policy like the TPNW. And being able to be, I don't know whether you want to think of it as a midwife or the obstetrician one of the team of people bringing this campaign into the world has been one of the greatest honors of my life. And so it's a delight to be able to share that with you, because I think that the need for us to work together for a feminist security framework has obviously never been higher. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth, for sharing your story. And I think that is the importance of having a conference like this, where we all come from different sectors and different industries, and we are able to sit together and discuss what challenges we have and how we can move forward. And speaking of that, as a society, we do tend to acknowledge that women have had to fight tooth and nail to get to places where men it's so easy to get into. But also what I have realized is that just basic human rights is such a struggle to get in this world if you are a woman or a girl. And then these conversations need to happen, but not only amongst ourselves, but between boys and young men as well. So with that being said, there's a lot of denial in terms of when it comes to women, in terms of how far we still need to go. And I think we still have a long way ahead of us. So what I would like to ask you, Ms. Udad, because you are not only a Nobel Peace Laureate, you are also one of the most influential and innovative business people in Africa today. So what I would like you to tell us is that what challenges have you faced in your journey? And then also, do you attribute those challenges to being a woman in a world that is so dominated by men?
Oh, thank you, Joy. It's a very interesting question. You know, how to accept this challenge to be, president of the Tunisian Confederation. It was for me, it was not a dream. I think I didn't choose this. My colleagues, they chose me. And I accepted, as I said, this challenge because it's, for me, it's, I think when we are living in this kind of environment of male chauvinism, we need to be together, stronger, and to help each other. And when I accepted, I think I accepted this challenge, not because I'm a woman, but because I'm an entrepreneur. And I think that's what I have to think about it. I'm an entrepreneur. I like challenges. I like difficult situations. I like risks. I can find solution for the risks. That's why I accepted this challenge. And maybe I have kind of some charisma, or I inherited this from my father, how to be leader and how to also to work with a group, and how also to listen to this group. So my challenge was how I can push this organization to be one of the most important organizations in my country and in the area, and how I can deal with this, because I organized the first free election there. I went through all Tunisian cities there and surrounded all these areas there, listened to all people from different, small, middle, and big groups, big companies, and I was there for them. And that's what I did, how I can also involve young people to be entrepreneurs, to accept not to wait for the government or for the state to offer them jobs, but to be also, entrepreneurs, to accept the risks. And, you know, in 2000, starting from 2011 till 2014, we had some groups that they tried also to thinking from, I don't know, some religious ideas. Our role is, as women, to be always in the back office, not to be in the front. We are not the same, we don't have the same capacities. So for me, it was this challenge, how to prove that as women, I can be in the first row, and I can be a leader, and I can manage, the population with majority are men. And this is one. Second, during all the whole dialogue, I received different threats. Some people, they tried also, I mean, just, I don't know, it's kind of a way, you know, as a woman, maybe I can be scared more than men. Maybe I'm going to leave this dialogue, and I worked hard. You know, I know when I have to leave my home, but I don't know when I have to come back. So sometimes we started our meetings from 9 morning till 3 the next day, morning. And for me, this is the challenge. Challenge how we can save the new democracy, how we can build the best future for our country, how we can involve young people, how we can involve women. And I think it's not because I was there, but you know, I don't have to forget that I'm proud to belong to this country that paved the way to the education for women. We had a leader, Bourguiba, in '56. He was there, and he got this crazy idea, I think, to establish this gender equality in '56, the same year of our independence. We had the same rights, and we still have the same rights than men. I think this is the big challenge. And we had very famous women in Tunisia. They are also my mentors. We had the first doctor in Africa, in the Arab world. She is from Tunisia, and the first pilot, she's from Tunisia. So for me, these examples were also my inspiration, how I can be like them and how I can follow their path. And I think this is what, and also to think I'm able. I'm here as a person. Please, you can also criticize me. You can give me some remarks. You can correct me as a person, not because I'm a woman. That's what we have to think about it. We are women, but we are also citizens. We have duties. We need to help our country. We need to change our country. We need to move, and we need also to make the change. That's what we did during all this revolution in Tunisia. Thank you.
Amen to that, because I love the fact that I am here as a person. That's very powerful. And thank you for sharing with that. Dr. Ruth, I would also pose the very same question to you and ask you, what challenges are you facing? Not only are you a world-renowned neurosurgeon, which is a very demanding job, and your job consists of action now, not tomorrow, because you are involved with someone's life. So I want to ask you the very same question, like what challenges have you faced, and do you think, as a woman of science, those challenges are attributed to you being a woman? Thank you.
Thank you, Joy. I think that when I first started to think about this, I thought, oh, well, my big challenge really has been for the last almost 2 decades. How do I do these 2 big, impossible things? How do I become a neurosurgeon? How do I get rid of nuclear weapons? And so it should be obvious to you that I like a challenge. I believe that we can do hard things. But I think that what I have learned and what I show with the way that I do things is that we can do hard things, but we must do them together. And so for me, the challenge has been how to continue my work in the community that is working for nuclear abolition, in civil society, in these peace-building partnerships, at the same time as going through and completing training as a neurosurgeon and becoming a pediatric neurosurgeon. And so giving each of those roles and those tasks the attention they deserve has required what I've started to understand isn't so much about balance, but about integration. And the shape that that's taken over the course of my last 2 decades is a bit of a dance. And so I think that that is what I have decided to see it as, because it gives it some elegance and purpose. And there might not have always been excellent choreography for the dance of my life, but at the end it starts to look quite artistic, I think. And so there are seasons where you can't be on committees. You're not sharing anything. I had many years where to become a neurosurgeon, I had to be in the hospital more than 80 hours a week, you're not getting much sleep, you're barely washing your hair. Let's be honest about it. You know, a lot of things fall by the wayside. But you come to a point where you realize, oh, now I have more time, I have more seniority, I have a little bit more agency and control over my schedule. Let me re-emerge from the scrubs that I'm wearing and join my friends who have been carrying the baton for me and for us and for the human race and for the planet towards abolition and bring my leadership skills back to the table. And so my current most important role is that I chair the board of the International Physicians for the Prevention of Nuclear War, which gave birth to ICANN. And I'm able to do that because I'm now a consultant neurosurgeon, and so I have some freedom about my schedule, and now I have juniors after so many years of being a junior. And so we can do what we do because we do it together and we do it as a team. And at first I thought this is nothing to do with gender, but of course everything has something to do with gender. And the reality is that every woman has multiple roles that they are called on to play. And there's a juggling act that everyone must do. And there are definitely extra impositions and extra assumptions about things that you're going to do and roles you're going to perform. I think in just about any culture, if you're a woman. And so I think learning to take this dance, to find people to do it with, and to be honest about the fact that you can't do it all at once, is very, very important. Thank you, Joy.
Thank you so much, Ruth. And speaking of teams and doing it together, all over the world, young people, with the help of technology, have been demanding change now and are mostly at the forefront of every movement all over the world that we see. Whether it's Black Lives Matter in the United States of America, the Iranian women protesting against the hijab. We have seen it all happening all over Afghanistan with the restrictions of girls' and women's education, women in war zones in Ukraine, and also here in Georgia. We have seen young people who are very local about what kind of freedom and democracy they want for Georgia. So we can see that when it comes to activism and not performative activism, young people are busy making a shift. And it's a shift that we can see it's visible and we can feel it and we can see it because young people are tired of asking for things. The new generation is not like the older generation. The new generation is demanding change now. They're not asking for permission anymore, which is a nice and beautiful thing to see. And also I hope that it opens more doors and more spaces for us women to be able to sit at the table when we are given that opportunity, but also to not be afraid to speak up. When we receive that table, we should also be aware that you're never gonna get another opportunity tomorrow, so you have to demand change now. With that being said, I would like to ask you, Widad, and also you, Dr. Ruth, that with the experience that you have in your line of work, what kind of advice would you give to our audience, young girls and young women who aspire to make a difference, whether it's on a small scale in their local communities or on a global level? What advice would you give them?
I think it's very simple. Go ahead, claim your future today, get involved, and arm yourselves with the necessary skills you need to learn, to ask, and to be curious. Also to become agents of change. Nothing can be done without women. Nothing. From the political side, economic side, social side, civil side. We need to be involved in any kind of, issue. We are part of the problem and also we are part of the solution. Also we need to have, to learn and also to jump some obstacles because the life is not so easy for us, for everyone. So we have to be curious and also to accept if we fall, we need to have the courage to stand up and to continue our path. So for the young people, you represent the future. You represent the future for us and the future for you. So think that you are a part of the solution and you have a big role to play, and also to accept challenges and to fight to have your rights. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We are running out of time, so Dr. Ruth, can you please?
No problem.
Yes, thank you.
Helpfully, the most important point was already made so beautifully by our previous two panelists, which is that it is essential to be brave instead of being perfect. In addition to that, I would say that as you consider your seat at the table, remember, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And when you get to the table, and when you get to the table, I want you to look around and see who's not there. It's all right to be women at the table, but where are the queer people? Where are the non-binary individuals? Are there disabled people at your table? Are there people from different cultures? If the room does not represent the community it is trying to serve, it is not adequate to the task. And finally, choose your mentors wisely. The people that you want to take on this journey with you, you need to cultivate mentors of all genders who will be able to speak wisdom into your life discerningly. And we take with us the wisdom of the elders as we take our young people's energy into the future. And I think that is the peaceful future that we can look forward to together.
Thank you so much, Ruth. Thank you. And speaking of the elders, I would like to just leave you with a quote from Iranian Nobel Peace Prize laureate Dr. Shirin Ebadi, where she says, it's not just about hope and ideas, it's about action. So as we leave this room today, let's go out there and take action. Thank you very much.